Sorry about the stream crash, but we are back with Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. Hope everyone's doing alright, by the way. Yeah, had a power outage, yada yada. So we're about to cross into New Jersey.
Outside the small thicket of apple trees, the phrase "tended to by John Chapman" is carved into a fence post. Nearby, a hound lies on its side, perfectly still. Flies buzz around its ears. But a grizzled man pauses at his digging to shoo them off. There's an extra shovel. With it, the two of you make short work of the grave. He tells you about his beliefs, why he's raising apple orchards in the middle of the country. It's a sin to graft, he tells you. Hurts the tree. Eventually, the hole is deep enough. He stoops to the ground and lowers the pup into the earth. Tears flow freely. "I'll see him again in heaven," he tells you. "Our souls are bound by love." He wipes his eyes. "I don't think I can bear to stay here, though. Maybe I'll sit out again."
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones over the
Ooh, new story unlocked. Okay, let's talk to the raven again. Or the crow, I mean. Okay, yep. Already was here. Makes sense. Okay, this is where the stream ended, so... Well, everyone's the captain of their destiny. It gives a burst of laughter. Ain't no bootstraps in the world that can save you now. But the choices you make, they can change the kind of story you can tell. It ruffles its feathers, a sort of shrug. Choose wisely, or don't. Let me backtrack a little bit here. Alright, back in New York, let me search a little bit.
He leans against a fence and turns to face you as you pass him by. At his back is a bag full of bird seed. He assures you that the gawky birds perching on his body are the last remaining passenger pigeons.
They look extinct to you?
You're not sure those dull gray pigeons look anything like the pictures you've seen of passenger pigeons, though you can't help thinking they stare at you a little too intently.
Say, you like birds? They're lovely creatures. Guileless, really.
Hunted damn near to extinction, weren't you? He strokes one of his birds under the chin. You think you see drips of blood flecking the creature's dirty gray head. You sense it's about time you start moving on.
You be kind to the little birds now, you hear?
You hurry along the road, though the flapping of ungainly wings seems to follow you for hours.
Okay, here we go. Okay, 12 of 237. Okay, so where am I at right now? Okay, so I'm back in New York still. My. Okay, so it came from Maine, in New York, still got a few more things back in New York I can do, then, I'll meet back up with the kid. Then after that I might hit up Virginia next. There's so much to be done. Two musicians backing you over. Billy split. Our show's in 5 minutes. You play the upright bass. You don't. Doesn't matter. Keep plucking, this string. Look. We'll pay. You fake it for a couple of songs, feeling like an idiot, but hey, you get paid.
Low tide on a moonless night. This beach is long, stretching toward a receding sea. In the darkness, the sand seems coarse and gray, alien. The stars are dim and distant. It outshines the stars with its presence, a streak of sickly colored light, leaving a trail of distorted fire. It slowly creeps along the sky like a vast worm, though you know that, given the distance, it must be moving at great speed.
Ooh, let me look back at the shore.
And there, near the water's edge, a human figure. They stand there, transfixed by the light. 1, 2, 3 steps, ankles lowering into the surf. Silent collapse into a black wave, bathed in a nameless color. Then, nothing.
Ooh, okay, Burlington. Okay, kind of backtracking a little bit, but, you're in Vermont. Okay, yeah. Let me finish up there, then I'll meet back up with the kid.
You hear the whippoorwill first, shrill and close. Then you see him, high up above the black streaks of wires. A lineman, fraying belt holding him to the pole. The damned bird has come to perch on a power line, stare hungrily at the man's soul. He's unsteady. His hands are shaky, and his body sways in the wind. You spot his tool bag next to the pole, worn and frayed, much like the man. A half-gone bottle of cheap rye pokes out of it.
I'm not gonna rob him.
You leave the man to his work and his vices. The whippoorwill cheers you on. Whatever it's waiting for from the drunkard lineman, it'll eventually get. As you walk away, for a long time, you still hear its cry. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill, whippoorwill. The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that dwarfs the house itself. It's eerily still, but for two boys at play. Each one so small and light, they barely leave tracks in the deep snow.
Let me watch him.
They seem old for their size, around 10 years old. Though their clothes are mismatched, they're perfectly identical, down to the pattern of freckles on their pale cheeks. They conduct their games in eerie silence. The clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key is worn. But night approaches, and the price is low. Just before you shut the room door, there they are, the twins, staring at you from the corridor.
Oh man, that's creepy.
In the morning, as you leave, the clerk asks, "Did you sleep well?"
I feel like I should tell him.
Too tired to lie, you tell him about the noise outside your door. The trampling of small feet on the corridor outside. The dreams disturbed with violent and hideous images. "That's odd," he says, weak-eyed. "There are no children staying with us."
Alright, so I get paid again.
The women are oblivious to your approach. Their eyes are shut. Their touch, where they hold hands, is gentle. They speak in low tones. One stifles a burst of laughter, but it brings a smile to their faces. "Sorry," says the one who laughed. "Don't be," another assures her. They don't look up.
And we give thanks for those who have left us, who we wanted gone, for the skills to thrive without them, and for the companions who make the effort joyful.
The voice of the youngest wavers. The woman to her left squeezes her hand. This is not a scene to intrude upon.
I say I keep stepping. Okay, so I can't pass into Canada. Got it. Walking the fine line. Okay, Boston over there, Connecticut, New York. If I'm correct. Okay, where am I headed? Okay, I'm going down. I need to go more towards the end of New York at that side. Okay, so back over here. Almost there.
His clothes are expensive, but unkempt. A tailored jacket stretched and warped out of its best fit by long days on the road. His thinning frame weighs down the boxcar next to yours. You got a light, friend? You offer a match, which bends and nearly snaps as he scratches it against the pitted iron edge of the boxcar. Thanks, he mumbles, perching one last cigarette on his lip. Don't rightly know where I'm going. You notice how deeply wrinkled his clothes are. It's as though a huge hand plucked him from a high society party and crumpled him up like a sheet of paper. Don't rightly know how I got going either. They built a railway just past Missy Hudson's estate. Damned racket ruined our soiree. Might have been a few bottles of Armagnac too many when I walked down the tracks to tell them to keep it quiet. He drags on the cigarette, but you never see him exhale. By nightfall, the hospitality of this sleepy hamlet, combined with their superstitious tales, has both overstuffed your stomach and filled you with a hollow dread. Folks say these woods are full of apparitions, witches, and worse. You curse yourself for getting on the road so late. In the moonlight, every valley and hollow at the feet of the Tappan Zee seems like a stolen shred of the abyss itself. Fireside tales seem less fanciful, and every cackling crow and moaning whippoorwill seems like a demon perched on the shivering, spindly trees. But something cuts through the noise. The muffled sound of hooves galloping on the cold, muddy road. When he finally slows his horse alongside you, it's as though he had just appeared out of the mist.
a ghost rider.
He's astride a gigantic black courser, and though his boots are muddy and ragged, he wears an immaculate coat with great shining buttons. From his saddle hangs an antiquated flintlock and a cavalry saber. In the darkness, you can hardly see above his towering shoulders. His voice is a rumbling croak, deep, but as though his throat is filled with thorns. Have you happened upon a cannonball around here? You can tell English isn't his first language. German is. His hand, so pale it's almost blue in the moonlight, grips the reins in a fist. You mumble an apology and watch as he silently rides away, back into the mist. He's cloaked in black,
Ominous.
you notice from behind, but the blood running down over his shoulders glints crimson in the moonlight.
Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep
Oh,
that
you're
stride stuck in my soul.
Speaking of which, I think I'm here now, yeah.
Oh, and my trains run out of track. I won't be no one else to dig my hole.
You spend a while in the cool shade at this gas station. You notice 3 kids sitting beside their family car, while their parents argue loudly with the cashier inside. The children seem embarrassed. You see the oldest brother lean over and distract his siblings with a story. He starts telling them a story about the fisherman and his fish calling seagull. You realize almost instantly that he's telling a new version of the tale of the seagulls and the fishermen, but with new, exciting, over-the-top details. When the parents come stomping furiously out of the gas station, you make yourself scarce, missing the ending of the boy's new story. But the part you heard is definitely easy to remember. It'll stick with you for a while.
I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand,
Alright, where's the kid at?
my vagrant song.
Hey, traveler. Come to join my fire again?
Oh, I found him.
Well, I guess I know you well enough to let you set yourself down for a spell. You remember Cass and Flip? You want to hear more about my travels? Well, sure, why not? Nothing better than trading stories around the fire, and I got stories. You got any happy stories?
I think I might go with, okay, let's see. I guess I could tell the, yeah.
Were you trying to scare me? Well, you didn't go far enough. Dad. Now, why you want to go worry about that? Don't got enough on your plate as it is. Ain't nobody can avoid changing. Can't run from the dying, but the living can be mighty fine if you go about it right. I want a story that scares me. Now I'm older, almost nobody can do it. Give me your best shot.
Alright, he wants to be scared. Oh, I got a good one for him.
Wow, that's the stuff, stranger. Spooky campfire tales are my favorite. Traps and such like. Well, one time in Fort Worth, a feller tried to take Cass and Flip away. Said a kid couldn't look out for him proper like. That they were fat in Fort Worth and they were going to the pound so that he could find him a good home. Well, before I could much argue, Flip bit the hell out of that busybody and Cass and I joined in shortly. I don't think I ever seen a fella so surprised. Guess I ain't going back to Fort Worth no more. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories.
Alright, you have a good rest of your night then. Oh, I really don't know which one to tell him. I guess I'll do, the Leather Man.
That was a chuckle to be sure, but do you know anything more lively? Trust. Well, I figure tramps are apt to trust each other, to a point. Sure, there are backbiters out there, but it's the folks who act respectable, the so-called upstanding ones that I keep an eye on. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any?
Yeah, I could do this one.
Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that? Jeez. My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw-flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those. Well, that was something. You spin a good yarn. Authority, bosses and such. I ain't nobody's little Angelina, if that's what you're asking. I take care of myself and my dogs. I don't need no jocker looking out for me, so if you're offering, don't. Shoot, I thought I told you to be respectful. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about that. Oh, heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way.
Alright, down in Pennsylvania.
The tramping life suits me just fine. Every day is a venture. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
Be my tale, my vagrant song.
The bar is crowded with people from every walk of life. Businessmen, young men in muddy overalls, and a crowd of girls in slinky dresses, preparing their blood alcohol content for a night on the town. But it's the squat, sharp-eyed man in the fedora who catches your attention. He launches into a wild story about the shootout between the female bootleggers and the cops. Halfway through he stops, recognizing the look on your face. You know this one? You tell him the story about the woman arrested for bootlegging. That's it. I think I like mine more. So that's why I'll keep telling it in my way, he says. Let's get another round, and do a competitive test on the other folks here, shall we? By the end of the night, the whole bar agrees the new version is better. It might be because your new friend bought them all drinks. Alright, I'm in Buffalo right now. Yeah, cut through Pennsylvania. Oh no, I kind of want to just go just straight down to Florida. Then I'll make my way from Florida to Georgia, Kentucky, Michigan. Yeah, it's just kind of straight down, just kind of like a zigzag almost.
His smile creases his face like folds in dough. He gestures you inside the dilapidated structure and shouts over the sound of driving wheels.
You're welcome to sleep here. You don't want to rest by the river. Not in the evening. Insects.
Man shoves the broken door closed behind you. The mill is warm, and the air is heavy with the powder kicked up by your entrance. You realize how easy it would be to drift off on this pile of sacks to the loud but constant sound of the grinding wheels. Consciousness is elusive. Your limbs throb with a dull fatigue, and your eyes are sticky with dust. The man suddenly grips your legs and drags you toward the millstone.
You do not love my daughter. You will not have her. I will not let you hurt her.
What is he even talking about?
His voice is pained, not angry. Your hand catches a flour sack printed with brightly colored flowers. A puff of flour makes you sneeze, and you wake. The mill is quiet. Its works long disconnected. In your hand is the faded remnant of what might once have been a bag or a piece of a dress.
Yep, just keep on hitting straight. Right, okay, Yeah, I'll get whatever's over there, on my way through, on my way back up. Tiny Motormouth is eagerly sharing the details of a strange tale with her brother as they order outside this store. The boy listens raptly, eyes growing eager, mouth hanging open like a fish. She's telling him about the Leatherman, whose ghost haunts Connecticut. You try to hide your surprise. It's the story of the Leatherman's Cave. The version the girl must have heard is embellished, to say the least, but hey, it's a good story.
The edge of summer has turned the ocean choppy and misanthropic, and the skies miserably gray. The boardwalk prophetess lured you into her tent with a promise to read a fortune for free. Seems like business has slowed to a crawl already. Before you lie the instruments of her profession. There's tarot cards, Rider-Waite, but also Marseille for traditionalists, rosary beads and costume jewelry, and of course, the centerpiece, a great glass globe. With practiced theatricality, she goes directly for the crystal ball, letting her eyes unfocus as though she can see a great distance into it. She brings up names, places, asks if you've known someone called John, if you have a relative in Newark.
I just love these options. Be a good sport or be a dick. I'm gonna be a good sport on this one.
You'll latch on to what she says, and together you dance towards some insights about your romantic prospects. It's relieving to meet an honest charlatan instead of the ghouls and ghasts of the road. You might even say you're having fun, until she abruptly stops talking. Your eyes, she says, her voice suddenly drained of the bassy drama that was her stock in trade. You've met him. You've seen him, too. You carry him with you. The words that come out of your mouth are not your own. They seem unwilling or unable to form properly out of a human throat. They're more like snarls, warning noises of a vicious animal. The glass globe shatters. Your vision is hazy, and your body is not your own. You came far to get away from me, the voice lodged inside you says.
Good.
But this one has a way of wandering. The fortune teller has collapsed, cowering. Consider your debt to me repaid. When you come to your senses, you're lying face down on the rough wood of the boardwalk, sore and weak. An empty patch of wood, cleaner than the surrounding planks, is all that remains of the fortune teller's tent. You come across a girl picking wild blueberries. She smiles and greets you.
Anin.
She offers you some from her birch bark basket.
Oh, how sweet.
You reach in the basket for blueberries, but pull out a handful of small, smooth stones, all the colors of the rainbow. The snickering girl runs into the trees as fast and light as a rabbit. The stones tumble from your hand and hit the ground, instantly turning black as the night. Your heart leaps in surprise. How strange.
Alright, let me just back travel a little bit. What was it? Someone new. And the kid is also here as well. Alright, but yeah, cut through Virginia, Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and yeah, make it down to Florida. You notice the black crow sitting on a fence post, watching you with unsettling intensity. Hey, it blurts. Hey, friend. Hey, you hear about trains? It gives a throaty cackle. Locomotion, that's the life. I've got some good traveling tips here. You ever ride a train? It asks. With your budget, you'll need to hop on at a train yard, though. Fast and convenient, but the railroad bulls really don't like it when you ride in the empty boxcars. If you get caught, you'll get beaten. It hops and pecks at something on the ground. On the positive side, maybe you'll meet some friends and trade stories with. But if you don't like the sound of that, you could hitchhike. Find a friendly car, it laughs. I feel sorry for you landlubbers. No wings, just motors. You can't even cross rivers when you want to. Only at safe crossings. I always do. You notice that its beak doesn't move as it speaks, but before you can tell anything else about it, off it flies.
The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue, unusual in this region where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence. Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out to their full breadth. The goat opens its mouth and wails, a protracted, shrill sound, indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. It only begins to stop when you take several steps back. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family, glass frames stained brown from smoke.
Alright, made it to Maryland.
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good. We didn't do nothing to anybody till we left. then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more so than Paul, because he didn't make it through. The march I was on, the bonus army, it's less a bonus and more an acknowledgement of what I've had to suffer. Civilians will never understand. Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones?
Alright, he wants something happy. I mean, I feel like this one, either that one or, hang on. Oh, that one's also a good one too. I'm actually split. I'll tell him this one.
For a moment there, just a moment, I felt better about it all too. The future's the issue, ain't it? Great War leaves us nothing to go back to, plucking up the hope and leaving us only with the vile and the unforgiven. Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore.
Oh, joke, okay. Where was that one story at? I feel like this one fits better.
Oh, come on. That doesn't sound real. Authority? The law? Well, I had a thought once, in the trenches. You and I, all of us, have the right to the pursuit of happiness. Can't say I've held the Declaration myself, but does it say anything about having a right to achieve happiness? My brother Paul used to love scary stories. Tell me one.
Oh, I got the perfect one.
Paul used to love that kind of dark campfire stuff. Imprisonment? The more days I check off, the more I'm convinced that birth is an imprisonment. I must eat, so I must have money. I must have money, so I must work. It's an inevitable prison.
Damn, that's a deep way of thinking about it.
So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones.
I don't really think I got anything funny. I'll just do this one.
Wish I could tell that one to my sister.
Let's go.
Travel. Well, this walk feels like a little bit of freedom now and again. The flowers along the road make for fine company. Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore.
I don't really got any good joke ones. Guess I'll do the two brothers.
Life ain't like that, in my experience. But I guess my experience ain't normal. My family, they were good to me. Ma and Pa, and to Paul, and to my sister Jessie. Some days I wish I could find Jessie again and have her help me. She always liked Paul best. Here's the sun. I've got to go. I'm headed up the road this way. Will our paths cross?
Oh, son of a bitch, he's back in New York.
Days come and go and the terrors return. They'll never be able to pay back what they owe me, but I'll always keep at 'em. What about you? Is there something somebody owes you?
Oh, man, that's going to be a good story. Okay, so I'm in, okay, if I stick to the plan, cut through Virginia, cross both Carolinas, yeah, I should make it in time. On my way back, I'll stop in Ohio, then go back to New York.
That ferryman come for to tally
Yeah, it sounds like a good plan.
I won't leave much
Oh, let me hear
behind
this
to
first.
drag you down.
You share the bus stop with an old man who shifts from foot to foot, thumbing his suspenders and watching the passing traffic with an anxious focus. Hey, he barks suddenly, turning towards you. Want to hear a good story? With the air of a man who's distracting himself from something, he stumbles quickly through a table, through a tale about the blessed lighthouse sanctuary, where souls in love could find respite, confusing himself now and again, backtracking, adding new details out of order. You barely piece the story together. You suddenly realize that he's told you a twisted version of the story about the two lighthouse keepers, but massively changed with whole new chunks you don't remember. It's true, the old man insists, turning his wincing eyes back towards the road. And with that, the conversation seems over.
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this.
Stranger, it's good to see you again. You know, I'm gonna see this whole world one day, but for now, I just got my sights set on seeing all 48 of the great U.S. I already seen 10 whole states. That's better than my folks ever done, that's for sure. Plenty of townies and even some tramps treat me like I'm kid simple, but I ain't helpless, and I only act it when I ain't got no better choice, like if I get pinched. I do right fine on my own. Don't need nobody but Cass and Flip. You got any happy stories?
Oh, yeah, I got some happy stories for you. Hang on. I know it's... yeah, I think this is a good one.
Not sure I quite follow that one.
I thought that was a good one.
This country. I don't rightly know what this thing called America is. I know what I done been told in school, but the words don't fit the picture. What with tramping across the whole thing, figure I'll find out for myself soon enough. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff.
Oh, okay. Scary. Scary. You know what? Why not?
Wow, that's the stuff, stranger. Spooky campfire tales are my favorite. I remember lots of folks talking about fate and fortune before I started my travels. Talk on the river was about them populists and their Louisiana governor. Some folks say they was up to no good, that they was lazy and un-American, cheating fate with government meddling. Others said we all
Classic
got the right
politics
to be
today.
kings, if we'd only let all folks have a fair shot. I suppose I ain't right in line with neither, but I don't think there's nothing un-American about needing help. I want a story that scares me. Now I'm older, almost nobody can do it. Give me your best shot.
Okay, so you like some scary. Alright. I think I got a couple around here somewhere. The Praying Woman. That's a good one. I could do. Actually, Mason's Lost. That's more sad than anything. Oh, it's sad and scary, I guess. Yeah, the Creeping Mill.
You spin a good yarn. I was shivering there for a little bit. There you go, talking about family. Like I said, don't need nobody but my dogs. Flip's still a little green. Found him starving and angry by the roadside a few months back. He gets riled now and again, but he don't do nothing too bad if you just wait and let him get it out of his system. He's good to have around most times, and Cash sure seems to enjoy the company. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got it?
Oh, I got you. Venturing. Oh, damn it, I should have told them about the winged goat. Okay, anyways, venturing. Yeah, I think I might have to go with, well, I could try this one.
Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that? Jeez.
Well, damn.
Sadness. Ain't seen no sight sadder than in the city. In the city, they want you to feel like a giant among giants, like you can do anything. But I seen them shanty camps full up with folks who got nothing to eat or do. Cities serve to make the small feel smaller. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories.
I could go with this one.
Well, that sure was a downer. Give me a good venture tale instead any day. Being trapped, caged. You think beggardom is a prison? No, stranger. Beggardom is freedom. Responsibility is the real trap, wound tight like an old spring. Pride and pretending'll bleed folk dry, and then when there ain't nothing left to be proud of, when they can't pretend no more, they'll unwind. Well, sun's coming up, so I've got to get ready to go. Thanks for the tales, friend. Where you heading next? Decided yet? Maybe our paths will cross. I'm going up the road this way myself. Hope I'll see something fun. I generally do, you know. There's interesting things to see everywhere if you keep your eyes open.
Okay, so he's not going far. Ooh, hold up.
Far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me.
Spend a while in the cool shade at this gas station. You notice 3 kids sitting beside their family car. Well, the parents argue loudly with the cashier inside. The children seem embarrassed. You see the oldest brother lean over and distract his siblings with the story. He starts telling them a story about the whippoorwill watching for death. You realize almost instantly that he's telling a new version of the tale of the drunken lineman, but with new, exciting, over-the-top details. When the parents come stomping furiously out of the gas station, you make yourself scarce, missing the ending of the boy's new story. But the part you heard is definitely easy to remember. It'll stick with you for a while.
Well, I'm gonna scrawl my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman come for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much behind to drag it down.
It's hard to look at these shiny buildings in the direct sunlight. You feel like an ant crawling among the tombs of giants. Away from the monuments, though, you find a city that's a little more human.
The mailman's uniform is dated and worn. He sits on the edge of the road, head in hands. He looks up as you approach. Can you help? Car clipped me. I think my legs... Well, I'd appreciate it if you could deliver this for me. He holds out a brown envelope. The letter's addressed to a James Gibson Sr., 120 J Street. But the city stymies you. The blocks run straight from I to K. You stop a man for directions, but he shakes his head and laughs. Someone's playing a joke on you. There's no J Street.
Over here.
A woman in a brown coat overheard your question. She steers you down an alley. Someone's chalked a big orange J on one wall.
I thought Clovis was late. Go left up ahead. Old Man Gibson's the third on the right.
As you round the corner, the world changes. J Street is a place out of time. Like the city forgot an entire street a century ago and carried on around it, oblivious. Even the noise and bustle of D.C. can't penetrate this little pocket. The man who answers is ancient and stooped. He peers at the letter.
I think it's from my son.
I don't see so well anymore. Will you read it to me? You tear the letter open. It isn't good news.
Oh man, I gotta tell him the truth.
He fights it, but his face crumbles. Tears roll down his cheeks. It's better to know. I've been waiting a long time for this. His shaking hand takes the letter. Thank you for telling me.
Let's go Panhandle. You're sitting across the street from a busy restaurant with a little sign on a plank of wood. Help me buy food. Most of the passerby give you a nasty look. There's a lady in front of the window of the restaurant who can't stop staring either. Just as you're about to give up, however, you see some motion inside the restaurant. The lady's paid her check, and now she's bustling to the door. To your surprise, she makes a beeline across the street right for you. You can't tell if she's excited to help you or pissed that you're here. But she slaps a pile of coins in your hat and starts machine gunning you with questions. What's your name? Who's your mother? Why are you dressed like this? Why are you here? She glares at you like a hawk glares at a rat, caught in its talent. You look exactly like someone I know, she growls, maintaining eye contact for much too long. Exactly. And with that, she turns on her heels and stomps away. Strange. Generous, at least. But very strange.
Clouds roll together to fill the sky. The lightning is so strong that it seems to open a path in the haze above you. You are sure you see massive talons curved around the clouds. The thunder is so immense that the ground trembles. Your lips and hands tingle from the electric charge that fills the air until the dancing lightning passes on over the hills.
These men lean against the wall of this hardware store, smoking and chatting. They wave you over. You heard this one before? They launch into a group recite of the fortune teller, whose dark past stained the souls of all her clients, interrupting one another in their excitement to tell it. You recognize the story. It's the story about the fortune teller and the curse. Someone's added to it in the meantime, though. What do you think? Asked one of the men, eyes bright. You think that really happened? Well, I'm not sure myself, he replies. But damn, it sounds wild.
As you walk along the river near an unfinished bridge, men with a tool belt catch a sight of you. Hey, over there, he calls out. You look like you could use a quick way to get some hard-earned money. Hard-earned is right. The bridge hangs high over a perilous drop. Great, he exclaims. Suppose you'll want a safety belt. We Thunderbird people don't need 'em. We fly when we fall. He chuckles. You find yourself up high, looking over the rushing river that crashes around the foundation of the bridge. As you work side by side, the man mentions, "You can see Thunderbirds up here if you know how to look." You ask him to explain. Practice your peripheral vision, if you dare. Last thing you need up here is for them to see you seeing them and come swooping at you, he says laughingly. You only see the clouds thicken. It sure does pass the time working. The man pays you well when you're done with the job.
Sorry, friend, but I gotta ask you not to get no closer unless I can see your hands at all times. Look too clean to be one of us. But you don't look like the company sent you neither. Alright, come and share my fire spell. Don't linger. These hills is full of ears. Don't think just 'cause you can't see no one that you're safe. And I'll give you cornbread. Don't be so sure of me neither. Got any funny stories? Must have a couple.
Alright, he wants something funny. I guess I could tell the go-to. I think it's my only funny one, actually.
You reading me out of a dime novel? That stuff ain't true. Authority? Bosses? You ain't worth nothing to them. You're like a pickaxe or a coal cutter. Damn shovel. You break, you get replaced. It's almost like they're proud of that. I need a laugh. Know any good jokes?
Oh, I think this one's a good one.
Come on, that's all made up.
Damn it. Thought that would've been it.
What's freedom? When the community decides what it's worth? Setting the value of things together? You mean, when you don't answer to nobody? Just ain't possible, my friend. Anyway, I need something to laugh about. Got any funny ones?
Man, he really has a type. I guess,
You got some wit, stranger. Travel? Well, next time you take a train, take a peek on up at its beating heart. It's black breath. It's just what a mining man looks like inside it. Coal dust, smoke, and fire. Got any funny stories? Must have a couple.
son of a bitch, yeah.
Are you trying to scare me? Every man in the last meeting I ran could tell you a story scarier than that right off the top of his head. Love. Anyone could be a company spy. New woman comes sniffing around, you can't tell if it's you or the union she's looking to get a whiff of. I keep to my own. See anything exciting out there on the road? Mostly I just seen dogs.
Oh, okay.
Come on, stranger.
Oh,
Tell me something true.
man, this guy is just really pissing me off.
Sure, I know sadness. Sometimes I get to thinking that just because you're right doesn't mean you ever get your rights. Times like that, I feel like all them coal flakes are just settling in me. Like I'm gonna become part of the mountain's guts, one way or another. Morning. I gotta get going. Headed up that way. Won't be specific, for my safety and yours. If you wanna find me, then do it. Talk again about these things. Coal ain't got no country. No worker neither. Worker ain't Virginian, Christian, white, colored, Irish, Polish, nothing. A worker is a worker. And we all gotta work. If you're one of them, if you think I sound red, you best come out and say so. Get it over with.
He launches into a wild story about the ancient battle still raging on Boston streets. Halfway through, he stops, recognizing the look on your face. You know this one. You tell him the story about the strange clamor on the streets of Boston. That's it. I think I like mine more. So that's why I keep telling it in my way, he says. Let's get another round and do a competitive test on the other folks here, shall we? By the end of the night, the whole bar agrees. The new version is better. It might be because your new friend bought them all drinks. Okay, if I keep on going straight through Carolina, man, I've done so much. Actually, no, I've actually done nothing. Damn, there's still so many. Nope, heading back to Washington.
I'm gonna scroll my name.
Faded shotgun houses sit in rows under the tall shadows of smokestacks. A worker in full uniform hollers from a porch. Hey, traveler! Join me inside. Got some literature here.
Ooh, fancy.
As you shut the door, the man glances out the window and draws the shades. Landlord toss you out? Ha, don't mind me, it's none of my business. He pries up a floorboard with a crowbar. You glance over the man's shoulder to see inside the compartment. Canned goods, a pile of leaflets, the wood stock of a rifle. He replaces the board and stands. He hands you a can of whole potatoes, then a leaflet which reads, "No evictions, no fascists, no hunger." Headed back to the shop, but we'll have a Bible meet soon. Bible meet. If you don't know James 5:1 by heart, learn it. That's our favorite scripture.
I got no companion except the wind and the sea.
I just love this music, though. It's beautiful.
And when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me.
We need a sixth.
She told you, beckoning from the steps of a great dark mansion. And just like that, you found yourself sitting with strangers around a velvet-draped table. Her voice is reedy and high, modulated by the tight collar of her Victorian dress.
Join hands, everyone.
Your host keeps her eyes closed as she beseeches the spirits of the dead. But everyone else around the table lets one lingering, awkward glance bounce around between them. You sense they're just about done humoring her when it happens. A deep, nasty thump beneath the table. The whole table starts to shake, threatening to lift right off the ground. And then, the staid candle flames start flickering like mad, casting ghastly shadows on the walls. And then, a viciously cold wind cuts through the parlor like sharpened ice. The damned candles are dancing in mid-air around you now, singeing a hair here and there off the coiffed heads of these well-heeled guests. You notice your host across the table has her eyes open wider than they should go, a rivulet of blood dripping from her nose. When you come to your senses, sunrise has begun to creep in. The parlor is empty but for you and the woman in the old-fashioned dress, who slumped dejectedly over the table.
He didn't show up. All that sound and fury, and no sign of his spirit.
A preacher watches you with an odd look, suspicion, pity. He beckons you into the church and starts counting cash out of the donation box. "Hush," he says, trying to silence your thanks. He piles the coins into your hand. "You look like you need it more than we do."
Ain't gonna want for nothing when you get that soul sucker blues. Oh, yeah. Woo. All right.
No fence, gate, or sign marks the entrance to the cemetery. Just a moment ago, you weren't surrounded by graves, and now you are. How long have you been stepping on dead folks, fully unaware? A wood board, bleached white. Unknown. The word was painted on black by a steady hand, each letter signed with a flourish. Whoever made this memorial had more compassion than money. You're already quiet, so maybe it's silly. But you instill that silence with intent. What else could someone do? A sparrow calls. Seems birds don't have much respect for the dead. You notice the grave marker isn't dug into the ground, just propped up on a tree. Looks nicer now, but unmoored as these markers are, this grave in front of this tree, does this memorial even belong to it?
Going down to the river, gonna cleanse my soul. Going down to the river, gonna cleanse my soul. That current gonna take firm hold of me. That water gonna make me whole. Going down to the river, gonna cleanse my soul. Won't heed temptation, I just walk on by. Won't heed temptation, I just walk on by.
This kindly old man sharing the shade under the bridge with you tells a few rambling stories, some true seeming, some conspicuously less so. All true, he assures. There's history in this place, going all the way back to the Indian times. Strange stuff happens round here. Sure it is, he scoffs, and then, as if to prove himself right, he launches into a story about the legendary Glenn Mitchett, the richest and most ruthless bootlegger ever. And this one, you know, it's a story of the shootout between the female bootleggers and the cops, but wilder and stranger than you remember. See then, the old man laughs. So I ain't pulling your leg, it's all true.
Gonna drive the hurting hearted gal with a wild and righteous sound when they try to throw a wall up.
He's small for his age. Boy of 13 or so, sitting on an upturned bucket by the side of a tiny wedge of farmland. The dog, as though by contrast, is massive, an enormous yellow-brown mutt. He's called Rover, the boy explains.
Pa says he can't come with us. West.
You notice the Model A truck on the yard, piled high with furnishings and trunks and bags and knots of rope to tie it all together. And upon all that, too, yet more dust and grit.
Pa says it has to be better.
With one toe tip, he scratches a parabola on the dead, dry ground.
Pa says we can't afford to feed Rover no more.
You can't tell where the blonde of the dog's coat ends and the omnipresent dust begins. Same goes for the boy's hair.
Will you take him?
You can't bear to stay long. A crooked bend in the road leads you away from the dust-choked farm, past stands of twisted trees scrabbling at the darkened sky. Flocks of oily grackles scatter as a gunshot rings out in the distance. The blistering sun has scared even birds into the shade. But a middle-aged woman and a young couple are still collecting scraps of cotton that the machinery missed. With a ragged voice, the older woman calls to you. Got any water? The three of them rush over to you, suddenly reanimated. They pass around your canteen. When you get it back, it's empty. The woman squeezes your hand and sighs with relief. Sweetest thing I ever tasted, she tells you.
Ooh.
Evening there. You looking for a sermon or just a chat? Don't really matter, frankly. First thing I ever learned behind the pulpit is that every homily is just a conversation. Ain't as one-sided as you might think either. Preachers ain't shepherds, they're cowboys. They gotta run with the flock, keep them directed without fencing them in. So how about you take a seat and guide us somewhere? Anyway, why don't you tell me a scary story? You must have heard some good ones.
Oh, hopefully this works.
Oh, you could rattle a congregation's bones, I bet. Sadness? No. Preacher ain't allowed to be sad, except for a certain sort of sadness. You understand? We have to be salve. We have to lift up the community, challenge injustice. Folks like me can't be sad for ourselves when it's the congregation that really hurts. You must have seen some pretty wild stuff on the road. What's the most exciting thing you've seen? That strikes me as a shallow kind of hope. Love? Well, I've had long, cold nights, and hot ones too. Paris was. Well, the point is, I'm the same as anyone else, but nah, haven't settled down yet. Too busy with another sort of love. Lately, my journey's been pretty ordinary, just walking church to church. What about you? Been on any adventures? I swear I ain't heard a story good as that in a long minute.
Ooh, let's go.
Freedom? I have it now. I hear it a lot. You give the best sermons I ever heard, Brother Jimmy. Why don't you become a pastor and start your own church? Well, I like the freedom. Jesus didn't preach to the Canaanites alone after all. So no church or temple or praise house for me. My congregation is America itself. Lately, my journey's been pretty ordinary, just walking church to church. You've got a pretty wild life, you know that? Home? Never had a home, not the way y'all talk about it anyway. Pops and I had a little trailer for the summer he was wrestling in Atlanta, but otherwise, it was a new floor every week. Hey, do you have any spooky campfire tales? Feels appropriate out here, right?
Oh, I know the perfect one to tell.
Oh, you got me for a second with that one. Luck? Forget about luck. Think about necessity. See, you focus on luck, you end up dreaming about what-if scenarios. But ain't nothing promised. You hear me?
Man, he's got away with words.
Instead, think on what you know you can do, what you have to do, and learn to do it right. Well, I gotta get moving on. I have a sermon to give in the morning, and the church is a long night of walking that way. Walk like you're blessed, child, because even if you ain't, that's the only way you'll find your holy self.
Man. Hang on, where'd I even start at? Oh yeah, back in Maine. Man, I come all this way so far. Alright, I'm probably gonna get to Florida, then end stream once I finish up everything there. Oh, I wonder what they're talking about this time. Devil of Leeds. Oh, the winged goat. Need some cash, a man asked. He just moved in down the street and needs help carrying boxes from the curb into his house. Threw my back out this morning, he sighs. Lift with your legs, that's my tip. You take his advice and he pays well.
Well, I'm gonna scroll my name on the bare bones of the
He sings as he works, his voice warm and soft as the late afternoon sun. The air's sweet with the tang of recently cut sugar cane. There's a practiced, almost soothing precision to the way he works. He looks up and nods hello. "Making molasses," he says to your unasked question. "I sell the blackstripe in town. Farmers use it for feed. Bitter as hell." He grins. "Got some set aside?" He comes back with a murky flask, waving off any offer of payment. "I ain't charging. Folks around here need what they can get. Makes a mean loaf of bread." He nods at the barrels. "I'm about done filtering. Got to boil it next. Lend a hand?" You help him haul the barrels over to the metal boiler. You pour in the juice and set the fire. It's hot work. He fetches water and dark bread, and you share the small meal and a smile. It's good to find another who takes joy in honest labor.
I got no companion.
Oh, nice guy.
Except the wind and the sea. And when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll be.
Oh yeah, I already did this one. Which story? Oh, the gigantic bird one. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters.
A sign in town says a farmer is hiring for the sugarcane harvest. A bag-eyed man drives you and 10 hungry strangers out into the cane, where he leaves you. Everyone gets a hatchet, but no instruction. The foreman is missing for some reason. Nobody is sure what to do. A young man in a red jacket stuffs all the hatchets in his pack. "This is stupid," he says. "I'm leaving. You can get $5 for a nice axe like this." He marches off into the cane and others follow. "Don't!" a young woman shouts after them. "It's not right."
That just ain't right.
The thief left some hatchets behind, so you and the 3 chumps left start chopping cane. It's brutal work. None of you know what you're doing. "Keep going," the girl calls. Her hands are bleeding, and her face is bright with sweat. Soon, her cane is piled high. Sometime after noon, the truck rolls up with a boozy foreman riding shotgun. "Good work," he croaks. The girl wipes her blood-pinked hands on her apron to take her pay, but doesn't notice the crumpled body in the back of the truck, or the hatchets heaped beside it.
Yeah, serves you right. That's what you get for stealing.
'Cause when that ferryman comes for to tally up my worth,
Look at that, made it to
I won't
Florida.
leave much to find that can be found.
Oh, I wonder which story it's gonna be. Oh, the brothers.
Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea.
come back up for these.
Cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. When the
His smile lights up the room, or rather the cab of the locomotive. Folks gather round as he holds the pull cord. He's a showman through and through. You'll want to cover your ears now for this next part. Sure doesn't help much. Engineer pulls that chain and the whistle blasts inside your skull. He just smiles through it all. Man must be half deaf.
Darnation.
A round of applause erupts from the small crowd. He passes out bubble gum to the shell-shocked kids, half of them in awe, half in tears. Remember now who gets you there on the advertised. Casey Jones. Everyone's all talk as they head back to their seats. That engineer sure is handsome. Gosh. And that whistle sounded just like a whippoorwill, didn't it? Ain't this the way to travel?
My God, it's Miami.
Can be found. Well, I'm gonna heft my spade.
A family of 9 invites you into their home for a meal. Hogs roam free in the yard. They wallow in shady patches of cool mud, not paying any mind as you pass. During supper, the hard wind puts an awful burden on the walls. The glass dishes rumble on the table, but the mother seems calm. Can't butcher a hog in these parts without me, Ma, hollering for pig's feet. The mother's heavy sigh gives you the impression her children ask this often. Mima wants more pig's feet. Heaven can provide.
And the sea.
Excusez-moi. Beckoning you over, the woman shows you a letter, beautifully typeset on thick vellum. You're struck by the scent of a fancy department store? She points on the parchment to the address. This address, you know? Her accent is very thick. You are dismayed to read the first paragraph. Lorem ipsum dolor sit amet. And the address under the monogram in the letterhead. 12345 Road Street, Anytown, USA. The woman blinks, hopefully, leaning close over your shoulder. Yes?
Oh,
You know this
poor
place?
lady.
She asks. Poor woman. She's been tricked. This place doesn't exist, you try to explain as loud and slowly as possible. Of course she exists. The woman snorts, thumping a fist to her chest. You struggle to make yourself understood, but the poor woman whisks the letter away and stomps down the street. Ah well, c'est la vie.
You look good, honey. You got a laugh? You like a good story? I like to hear about people and make bets with them. I like to hear about the weird, handsome people. Get convinced by the rich jackasses who will play blackjack and lose into the night. Dames who are lit cigarettes burning to the end. I want to be around furious people who use me and I use them. Are you one, stranger? Come close to me. Hey, got any exciting stories? Like the movies?
Ooh. Alright, what do we got?
Well, well, they should let you make the movies, honey. I don't know if you've been on the road that long, stranger. 'Cause you ain't got that exhaustion in your face about moving 'cause you have to. Sometimes you just can't with people. And you, well, you look so hungry for talk right now. Sometimes I'm in a hold'em with 5 other people and I look around and I think, I ain't been alone for 5 hours. And I might set fire to this whole place and walk out of here. You ain't there yet. Hey, got any exciting stories? Like the movies?
Oh, okay, I guess I could tell her this one.
Honey, thrills is the stuff I live on. That one will keep me going. 16 days ago, I come across a girl by the side of the road. She had her smoke all bent out of shape in her mouth, and she had a bundle like I used to by her little brown boots. She caught my eye just for a little second. And though I ain't got no feeling from her, I smiled to myself because you bet a lot on leaving the protection of the known, especially when your body our shape. But choosing your challenges, that's freedom. And she knew it, I think. Hey, got any exciting stories? Honey, thrills is the stuff I live on. The law? I can get by with the law. The law thinks I'm a victim, a sad girl of the streets, a damaged girl, a girl who ain't got no fate and whose daddy didn't love her. My daddy's dead, and all cops are in my pocket, stranger. I will tell you that if I tell you anything. The law is bad for us Roman kids. It does not serve us. But you learn to get that sad, pale girl on. They love that. Sometimes you gotta promise them something more and... Well, I don't say it's pleasant, but you born in a body. Sometimes people treat you like you need the power taken from you. Hey, got any excite...
Oh, I think this one's a good one. Nope, never mind.
You know, I get cleared out now and then. Like being hit in the stomach, like being slapped up good and proper when you watch the chips move away from you. My portrait's on every good casino's wall, sweetheart, but I always come back like a bad penny. Because I can't lose, and I won't. And I'll take everything you got, and losing ain't shit to me when I can get back up. Got any stories with ghosts or murderers or blood or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Just what I asked for. That spooky stuff gets my heart going like a good hand sometimes do. I won big back in Reno and I got obsessed with luck. I was drinking absinthe at the time and smoking only darn European cigarettes that made me cough like a mule, and boy, after that win, I drank the green very good and smoked like a redwood bonfire. And you know what I learned? I learned to pick my tables and expect music on the jaw. Shit. Next time, let's up the stakes, shall we? Why don't we spend some time with bourbon and 5-card stud? You bring the bourbon, of course. And when the moon's fuller, I might let you in on some secrets on life. Have you any?
Well, I think that went good. Still a long way to go. I'm not even there to my state yet. Shit, that's still a long way away. 40 of 237. And while I'm here, before I end stream, a long black car growls up in the front of the hotel. Out steps a woman in an extravagant hat and coat, followed by a whole crowd of hangers-on. She's a singer, an actress. You don't recognize her face, but to your surprise, you recognize the story she's telling. In a sharp transatlantic accent, she's telling everyone in her party a story about the Thunderbird people who fly when they fall from heights. It's clearly the story of the bridge builders, but changed a few entertaining ways. Isn't that something? She asked. Her various followers agree. She pays the driver of the limousine and sweeps into the hotel like a thunderstorm of red velvet. Someone should do a picture about it, you hear her exclaim. Miami. Seagulls scream overhead as you mosey down the beach. Out at sea, ships crawl along the horizon toward the harbor. The sun's a little intense, so you search for a scrap of shade.
You've enjoyed a break on the beach, staring off the edge of the world. But the sun is starting to go down, and the breeze is getting stronger. As you're about to stand, a man plonks down near you. He sits a polite distance off, but looks at you expectantly. He smiles weakly. I just got fired. First Spanish-American radio host in the state, and they fired me. They needed to make cuts, I get that, but I'm twice the... He trails off. I don't know what I'm going to tell my wife. I could try the docks, but there's already more men than jobs, and I could barely support the family on what they pay. He hangs his head. And my boy, I can't bring myself to tell him. I don't know what to do. He calms as the sun drops below the horizon. An expanse of darkness is ahead of you. Turning back to the lights of the city reminds you that the world hasn't gone away. After a long silence, he speaks. It's never going to get better, is it? It takes you a moment to notice his sobbing over the noise of the waves. I've got to tell them, haven't I? I'll go to the port in the morning and see if they'll take me. You can no longer make him out in the dark, but his hand touches your shoulder as he leaves.
Shouts echo from a nearby alley. You discovered a crowd of men unloading sacks from a truck as fast as they can. When the truck empties, it roars away, and another surges up to take its place. The sacks are lumping, heavy, and stained with dark smears. Yes, blurts a laborer. Do we ever? An older fella, however, throws out his arm to shut the man up. No, we don't need help with this stuff, he says, stepping close to obscure your view of the goods. Mind fetching water instead? He waggles a few coins in your direction. You fill their pail at a nearby gas station. When you return, though, the men are waiting in the alley, innocent as anything. They wash a sticky residue off their hands in the water, and their boss passes you a couple coins. There's no sign of the goods anywhere.
Far and long, when the night come down for the
Alrighty, I think that's where I'm going to stream for the day. Yeah. Well, made a dent in the progress at least.
Yeah, this will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Until next time, happy trails.